Movie titles can do a lot to help sell the film. I'm not so sure folks would have rushed to see East Great Falls High or Mechanismo. Pacific Air Flight 121? No. Snakes on a Plane? Yes. That brings me to this week's movie, Werewolves on Wheels. Werewolves on Wheels is a 1971 horror film from director Michel Levesque. At the time, biker movies and horror movies were both very popular. The studio approached Levesque and told him they were looking for either a biker movie or a horror movie. He decided to increase his odds of being picked up and came up with the idea for a biker horror movie. The movie was produced by Paul Lewis, who was the production manager for arguably the most popular biker movie ever, Easy Rider. Lewis also produced the outstanding flick The Hitcher, and used many of the same locations from Werewolves on Wheels. The movie starts off with a gang of bikers, the Devil's Advocates. We know these guys mean business because they stand on their bikes and scare cows. The film was fairly low budget, so only 6 of the people in the movie were actors. The rest were either the crew or actual bikers. After terrorizing the locals, the gang heads out to a bar and gets loaded. Adam, the leader of the gang, is hanging out with his woman, Helen. This one biker named Taro reads Helen's cards.
Tell her how she's gonna die so we can get out of here.
Helen is gonna die in the tower, struck by lightning.
The bikers wander around drunk and eventually stumble upon this satanic temple. Oops, crew member. The monks of the temple come out and give the bikers bread and wine. Being a bunch of buffoons, they eat the stuff without question. The food is drugged, of course, and the bikers pass out. The leader of the satanic monks, called One, is performing some ritual that apparently requires boners.
Oh, Satan, who calls me One, the one who seeks you instead of eternal peace, with a heart on and a soul on ice.
He sacrifices a cat and pours the blood into a chalice. The director assured me that they did not kill the cat in the movie. He was given to the prop master's little sister and lived 11 years after the film was made. The monks call in a now hypnotized Helen as the bride of Satan. She eats the blood from the sacrifice and dances around naked with a snake and a little bit later with a skull. Adam wakes up and gathers the gang to rescue Helen. The gang storms in and fights the monks, but the monks swipe the biker's face with ash, giving them each the mark of death. The gang easily dispatches the monks, and they leave with Helen. While camping out for the night, Helen's dancing like she was back at the temple. Adam and Helen sneak off, and Helen bites Adam. Cut to 2 other bikers also sneaking off, but they get mauled to death. The next day the gang finds the bodies, but they figure they were killed by animals. The bikers stop at a gas station and meet this guy. The director found him in the desert and asked him if he wanted to be in a movie. The bikers stop at an old junkyard to camp for the night. Adam has a conversation with Taro, and it gets a little gay.
Come on. Just like in Florida, baby. Couple teddy bears rolling down the mountains. I wish I knew how to quit you. No.
The bikers set the cars on fire in the hopes it would keep the animals away. This biker, called Movie, because his dialogue is mostly just movie quotes, heads into the desert and gets slaughtered by the werewolves. The next day they look for him and find his bones in the ashes from the fire. The bikers drive further into the desert, past this crew member with the smoke machine. They get separated from the truck, and they're completely lost in the desert. They figure out they've been cursed, and decide to head back to the temple to confront the monks. Taro figures out something's wrong with Adam, and they get into a brawl. The bikers are sitting around the fire, and we get a really good look at their
marks of death.
Finally, 1 hour and 11 minutes into the movie, we get to see the werewolves. Adam and Helen, now fully werewolves, kill more of the bikers. The bikers fight back and kill Helen. Adam then jumps on his motorcycle, and unfortunately, it's the only time in the movie where we actually have a werewolf on wheels. Adam gets torched and drives off a cliff to his death. The remaining bikers make their way back to the temple, and in a twist, the monks are now the bikers that were killed by the werewolves, and one is now Adam. Plus, Helen is officially the bride of Satan. Wait a minute. What happened to her being struck by lightning?
Helen is going to die in the tower, struck by lightning.
The film was shot in a little over 2 weeks for $260,000. The director could only afford the makeup guy for 3 days, which is why we only see the werewolves at the end. He also could only afford a stuntman for 1 day, and so they filmed this burning sequence and the motorcycle crash one right after another. I will admit I was bummed out by the lack of freewheeling werewolves. The title makes you think of a gang of werewolves riding around terrorizing towns across the map. However, after a second viewing, I was won over by the killer soundtrack, creepy visuals, and the overall feel of the movie. Oh, and if you're wondering why Helen was never struck by lightning, if you guessed ran out of money, you are correct. Werewolf movies are very popular right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up being remade. Although we've already had a spin-off,